What? Motherfucker! Help me!
You what? Your daddy.
What? Somebody killed me, bro? Alright, bro.
Fire.
Alright, bro.
Oh my god. What? Daddy.
Run, bada, bada.
Oh. Daddy.
What is it?
What?
My son.
What? Daddy.
What?
Fire.
Fire.
It's fire. What? Daddy.
on. Battery, but. Bluetooth connected.
A sitting Republican congressman just exposed how deep the Epstein files cover-up goes inside the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. This is deeper than partisan politics, and we have to dive in if we're ever going to defeat the Epstein files. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Be sure to engage with this video. Help us build an independent company that can take down the Epstein files.
It turns out that John Paulson, one of the 3 billionaires who put money into MAGA Kentucky, was in Epstein's phone book, but also was implicated in these files as doing a fundraiser and reaching out to Jeffrey Epstein to get money from him to honor Howard Lutnick. So it's, by the way, it's just a really small world when you get into the billionaires, and they're not partisans. They're above party, right? The Epstein class, they don't associate themselves as Republicans or Democrats so much as they do among a class of billionaires who are above all of that, above the judges. They've got visa waivers, they fly private planes, they don't mingle with the public, whether it's on a plane or in a courtroom.
Let's pause right there, because that's Congressman Thomas Massie. He is as MAGA Republican as they come. Right? If you lock me and that guy in a room, we probably don't agree on much, but we absolutely agree on the need to release the Epstein files, expose these people, and prosecute the individuals who preyed on little girls and preyed on little boys. And Massie, alongside Congressman Ro Khanna on the Democratic Party side, have been at the forefront of pushing for this. And what has Thomas Massie's reward been from Donald Trump and party leadership? They have cast him aside. Right now, in the coming days, they are waging a brutal, vicious primary campaign against him. Donald Trump has recruited a even far-right, crazier MAGA Republican to run against Massie. They are having so many of Trump's billionaires and his PAC, MAGA Inc., funnel money into this district trying to defeat him, to send a message that you cannot stand up to this president on anything, let alone the Epstein files. It's roughly the same thing they tried to do to Marjorie Taylor Greene. Unfortunately, she quit. She just decided to leave Congress right after her pension vested, which to me is not a profile in courage. But Thomas Massie is staying here and fighting. Not only is he doing that, he's fighting in this primary. He's winning in this primary based on all the public polling that I have seen. But he's also going out there, this is on Tucker Carlson's show, speaking out and exposing these people for who they are. At the end of the day, partisan politics dominates the conversation. We're at each other's throats all the time. I spend a lot of time covering what these MAGA politicians, these MAGA influencers say. But every now and again, a nugget of values and integrity breaks through. And I think that's what we see from Congressman Thomas Massie. He has my respect for standing up to Donald Trump. Because the truth is, the Epstein files cover-up extends far beyond party politics. There are Republicans in those files, there are Democrats in those files, there are independents in those files. There is a class of people who, no matter what happens in this country, good or bad, left or right, red or blue, they win, they succeed, they're never held accountable. How do you get to the point where so many powerful, wealthy, connected individuals feel like they can prey on little girls and little boys, that they can traffic them, that they can abuse them, and they know that they will never get prosecuted? It is because that rot exists all throughout this country, in the Democratic Party and in the Republican Party. And it is going to take a spectacularly strong alliance from me to Thomas Massie and everybody in between to build a coalition that can take down this class of people. Because it's the same class of people, by the way, that are stealing your money, that are increasing your gas prices, that are getting tax cuts in the Republican budget. These are the people who are destroying and dismantling this country. They're making everything worse so that they can make a little bit more money and you suffer at their expense. There's so much suffering. And until we break this class of people, nothing will get better. And I applaud Thomas Massie for speaking out. Let's dive back in.
And so anyways, that's my hat's off to Marjorie for taking on those threats. And Lauren Boebert, they took her over to the Situation Room, right? Like, this is where, if they're trying to kill or capture Osama bin Laden. This is where they are at the White House. They took her into the Situation Room and tried to whip her into taking her name off of the discharge petitions.
Over Epstein.
Over Epstein, yep.
So just to stop there, that is true. Lauren Boebert has reported that Donald Trump had her meet with him in the Situation Room, which is highly inappropriate and clearly an attempt to threaten her and intimidate her and or make her feel special and loved by Trump so that she wouldn't do this. But again, there are a couple of people here who seem like they have some legitimate integrity on this issue, even if I disagree with them on literally everything else, right? Nancy Mace is another one who has stayed pretty dogged on the Epstein files. And she, to me, is a horrible human being. Her attacks on the trans community in particular are absolutely disgusting. Boebert is somebody I couldn't agree with on basically anything, but again, there's this weird coalition thing happening here where even some of the people that drive me the most crazy inside the MAGA movement are willing to speak out against what their party is doing. And I want to add two more things here because Marjorie Taylor Greene, I'm very critical of MTG because she abandoned her job in the middle of her term, and she only did it after her pension vested so she could go on The View and start speaking out against Trump. However, she has reported a number of times, and I've shot videos on this, that Trump called her and basically begged and then threatened her to stop talking about the Epstein files because, quote, it would hurt my friends and it would hurt me. So they are covering this up because there are all kinds of people throughout Donald Trump's inner circle who are in these files. That's why they're covering them up. That's why they're refusing to release them. That's why Donald Trump is scrambling all the time to threaten anybody who speaks up against him, to kick Marjorie Taylor Greene out of Congress, to primary Thomas Massie. They will use and abuse their power to make sure that the American people never know the full extent of who is in those files, who is trafficking these kids, who is abusing these kids. That is not what the American government should do, and we should not be turning away from this. This is the biggest story in the country right now. And I know that Donald Trump has launched this horrible war in Iran. We got to cover that. I know the economy is crumbling around us. We have to cover that. But the rot at the core inside this country is a powerful, wealthy, well-connected class of people who support one another regardless of politics, who use partisan politics to distract us and make us hate each other so we don't notice the fact that they're stealing our money, robbing us of our dignity, and preying on our kids. And we've got to speak that truth. And for Massie, Massie's not only facing a primary, but Donald Trump had Kash Patel's FBI reach out to Massie and tell him, you stop talking about the Epstein files or we will investigate your staff for fraud. We will throw you in jail. We will upend your life. That is how they use their power. They're more willing to use their power to protect themselves, to protect people who are pedos, who abuse kids, who take your money. They'll use that power to put money in their pocket, but they won't use it to help you. They won't use it to protect our kids, and that's disgusting.
And then the president vetoed a bill that would have brought water to a large portion of Colorado. Like, over Epstein.
And that is true. Donald Trump retaliated against Lauren Boebert by making it harder for the people of Colorado to get clean water. That's the punishment for standing up to the president, who is at a bare minimum, protecting pedophiles in the Epstein files.
This isn't even, at this point, it's not just about Lauren Boebert. Why are people in Colorado deprived of water? Because their representative wants to expose the sex trafficking ring.
I mean, none of this makes any sense at all because it's a losing issue for Trump, and it has been. That was the beginning of the end, really. I think we're at the end.
It makes a lot of sense when you understand that Donald Trump is all throughout those files, that there are people in his administration who are all throughout those files. Howard Lutnick has been caught repeatedly lying about his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein, said that he had nothing to do with them, except he started a business with him, lived next door to him, bought a house from him, went and took his family to the island. He took his kids to the pedo island, guys, and then lied about it because they thought that they would never be held accountable for this. They thought the public would never know. That's how much they hate you. You should really sit there and think about that for a second. When we talk about the billionaire class, that how much they hate and despise everyday Americans, think about Howard Lutnick brazenly lying about the relationship that he had to Jeffrey Epstein, bragging about how he had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein in TV interview after TV interview. And then we find out they started a business together, they lived next door to each other, he was on the island with his kids. That's how much they hate you. They think you're stupid, and you are not stupid, all right? I know that you're not out there. I know I'm not stupid. I know that I'm outraged and angry about this, and I need Tucker Carlson, and I appreciate that Carlson's still speaking out about Epstein, but these people have to understand that they played a role in 2024 in electing one of the most prominent members of the Epstein class into the White House, and now he is covering up for himself and for his friends and for this class of people who hate him.
Of the 2024 campaign is just total betrayal of everything. But that began with Epstein last summer. And Trump's now famous attack on his own voters. If you think this is important to know more about Epstein, I don't want your support. Why do you think Epstein, of all issues, is the one that Donald Trump was willing to destroy his presidency over?
I don't know. I mean, I did it because it was the right thing to do.
Of course, I understand your motive, but the president pushed back now. He's endorsed this campaign against you and your family. But really just sort of hurt himself on behalf of the memory of Jeffrey Epstein. Like, there's something here, no?
Again, we know what the reason is. Donald Trump told Marjorie Taylor Greene, stop investigating the Epstein files because you will hurt me and you will hurt my friends. He's protecting the people around him.
Whoa, this is a big work.
Big order.
I'm feeding the team for the whole year, baby.
So a lot of you guys know my family, but what you don't know is they helped me launch a business out of their house. And I literally took over every single room. There was so many ups and downs, but two things always stayed consistent. My family showing up to help and how easy it was to keep everything running with Shopify. Let me paint a picture for you of how this went. I started making snacks for my teammates and they got really popular. Within a couple months, we had teams from all over ordering. The Rams.
No.
The Rams. Now we work with manufacturers and fulfillment centers, but I still run everything from wholesale to D2C through Shopify. It's an all-in-one platform that helped me grow and scale, whether I was packing orders at home or shipping to protein. Starting a food business is not easy. You're going up against massive companies, but Shopify is...
If we know anything about hip-hop by now, it's that rappers tend to have a little self-destructive streak, whether it's because of a tough upbringing that has made them unaccustomed to wealth, let alone fame, or an unwillingness to step away from the ties that they fostered in the streets. There are plenty of rappers who've gotten their own way and destroyed their blossoming careers. In some extreme cases, this goes even further, leading these promising artists to basically implode in full view of the world, falling off professionally, financially, and even mentally in the aftermath of bad decisions, difficult circumstances, or straight-up twisted action, which makes fans no longer want to separate the art from the artist. In light of recent news, there's no better place to start than with a man who will be wishing that falling off was still his biggest problem. Just a year ago, David looked like a man on top of the world. The self-made R&B artist had just performed on network TV via Jimmy Kimmel, rubbing shoulders with the likes of SZA, Billie Eilish, Pharrell, Benny Blanco, and Lil Yachty along the way. With over 36 million monthly listeners on Spotify and a...
This Dana White Breakfast Club appearance was an absolute nightmare. He started panicking, hyperventilating. When he started to ask the hard questions, he was stuttering and didn't know what to do. They absolutely cooked him. The first thing they interrogated him about was his relationship to Trump and all the horrible things Trump is doing. Now, if you're Dana White, you kind of have to expect them to ask you about Trump. I wasn't surprised they asked that question, but I was surprised at how unprepared Dana White was to answer the question. Now, another question they asked that I was actually shocked this time around they did ask was Dana White putting hands on his wife. They asked about Dana White slapping his wife on camera in that video. Now, another question that if you're Dana White, shocked it.
And you said, in regards to your relationship with Trump, and has it cost the UFC business? You said, I don't know the answer to that question. I've gotten to a point in my life, especially after COVID and all that was going during that time, that I only want to be in business with and talk to people that I'm aligned. I'm not talking about why I'm business with people that I'm aligned with for sure. But you're aligned with Trump on what exactly? Well, Trump is a good friend of mine. I mean, I've been friends with him for 25 years. I mean, here's the time to become the president of the United States. And he and I have never had we honestly, as Trump got involved, when we first bought this company, the stigma that was attached to this thing, you can imagine, think about this, it wasn't allowed on pay-per-view. You
was a grown adult, didn't have the option to buy it on pay-per-view. Porn was on pay-per-view. The UFC was not allowed to. That was the uphill battle we had. So you can imagine venues like this, because these guys were like, what kind of people would show up to watch this kind of an event? And he happened to set the Trump Taj Mahal for the first two fights, 30 and 31, UFC 30 and 31, and then after we did those two fights, first he showed up for the first fight of the night and stayed till the end for both events. And you think the Trump brand then and the UFC brand, and every good thing that ever happened to me in my career after that, he was always the first guy to reach out. The answer at first appeared to be pretty concrete, and it felt like an answer that Dana White's PR team kind of wrote up for, hey man, if anybody asks you about all the horrible things that Trump is doing, and you may link to it, just say he's your friend and you're just being loyal. But Charlamagne the God, and I don't give credit, and I don't give him credit enough, but Charlamagne the God has really sharpened up his skills, man. Charlamagne the God was able to throw Dana White into a corner. Because the thing is, Dana White and a lot of these dudes who are actually far right, they love to masquerade as middle of the road. I'm a moderate, you know what, I'm kind of left-leaning. But none of these dudes are left-leaning. Right, but they love to pretend as if it's up the road. So Charlamagne the God does a really great job at challenging that. And challenging the I'm left-leaning, I'm actually moderate, I don't know why they call me far right. He challenged that, and he forced Dana White into a corner where Dana White had to do either one of two things. Admit Trump is actually horrible, and that Trump is doing some evil things, or admit that you are a hypocrite.
Save during markdowns for miles at AutoZone. Go farther with markdowns on your next oil change. Drive clear with markdowns on Rain-X products and many more deals during markdown for miles at AutoZone.
Does your internet bill keep getting higher? That's because typical internet deals are full of surprises. At Google Fiber, there's no install fees, no equipment fees, no nonsense. It's the same price every month. Visit fiber.google.com to get the same monthly price we've offered since 2012.
So then when he was running in 16, he called me and asked me, would you speak for me at the Republican convention? And everybody told me not to do it. Don't do it, it's going to be bad, and you're never going to win, and all that kind of stuff. But this was the guy that was always good to me and, always treated me well, and I did it.
And I can understand that, that's your friend. But when your friend had a disapproval rating of 62%, right, record high, it was they don't like his handling of direct or it kind of caused them to lose people. Why can't you tell your friend he's failing? As a friend.
Well, he's the president of the United States.
Still your friend, though.
And, yeah, I know. But, for me to get involved in, it's like if your friend I'm sure people disagree with you that are friends with you, and everybody has friends, so it doesn't mean you're not friends with them anymore. That doesn't mean that you're...
Oh, no, I didn't say you shouldn't be friends with him. I just said, why can't you tell your friend he's failing the people? Because these are the same people who make UFC a success. Everyday working class people who support your sport.
You're never going to have a president that sits in the White House that everybody approves 100%.
He's going to be perfect. You're going to have some things that work out great and a lot of things that don't. It's no different than running a business or any other thing. Nobody's ever going to be absolutely perfect. Oh, I agree. When they're the president of the United States.
Can you tell your friend when
yeah, we talk about a lot of things, but I don't try to get into...
Trust me, he just began stuttering. It's just enough. He already started with the or, talking like poetic blocko. Bro, you don't stutter. That's me. The or. Nah, you don't stutter. Why are you stuttering now? But it's just beginning. The weasel even try to go with the, I don't get into politics like that. Nah, nigga. Nah, bruh. You endorsed them. You co-signed them. Right? You told the people to vote for them. They're treating this like, listen, man, I don't agree with everything my friends do, but I still support. Bro, this is not like your friend stole I don't know, like your friend robbed a bank or something. And you're like, man, I don't support my friend robbing a bank, but I'm going to still stand by him and support him if he need me. Your friend bombed a school filled with little girls in it and then lied about it before being forced to admit that, yeah, we did it, but it was an accident. No, your friend murdered hundreds of little girls. Niggas treat this shit like some normal shit as if they homie ain't the president committing a genocide. They treat this as if it's some normal stuff. No, it's not. This is not the normal circumstance where you can stand by, that's my homie, man, I don't agree with what he's still. What? Your homie is protecting billionaire pedos by refusing to drop certain documents in Epstein. Tell them to drop the Epstein files completely. Unredacted, tell them. Redact only the victims' names. They won't. So your homie is protecting pedos. Your homie is bombing schools with little girls in a war that doesn't benefit us at all. But yet you think you can still get by with the, that's just my friend, man. I'm going to support him if I can.
But don't be a glazer.
Don't be what?
A glazer. Like somebody that just tells him he's great. A yes man.
Yeah. I don't think anybody's ever accused me of being a yes man. But listen, I'm not an overly political person either.
Are you part of the MAGA media culture? Do you align with their ideologies and their values?
You know, I consider myself right down the middle or leaning a little liberal, to be honest with you. Everybody thinks I'm some far right guy because of our relationship.
Yeah, because it's interesting. Most CEOs try to stay politically neutral to protect the brand. You almost seem kind of like proud to be political.
Not proud to be political. I mean, I'm just saying that this guy is my friend, and nothing is perfect. And you know, whoever is the next president, right or left, isn't going to be perfect either.
People say that you're the reason why a lot of young male voters, because of you've seen everything that you've had, voted for Trump, and that was something that, like, even if you didn't mean to do, it was widely talked about, and you still leaned into helping his popularity in the space.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
But that gets political then.
Yeah.
I guess so. So you're responsible for the high tariffs and the high inflation costs, and
I guess so. I guess if that's the way you want to look at it, it's all my fault.
You're responsible for people's health care getting cut. I'm just saying, like, that's what you're essentially saying.
Okay. I mean, that's not the way I look at it, but I guess I could see why you would look at it that way, and you could, frame it like that.
I'm not even overly political myself, but some of these issues you can't be offensive on. You just can't be, man. A school of little girls got bombed. They first started to lie and say, oh, it's not our missile. Once it was confirmed it was our missiles that did it, now all of a sudden, well, it's a mistake. No, somebody got to be held accountable for this. Somebody got to go to jail for these war crimes. And if you're somebody who's seen these things go on and seen like casualties like this and seen little girls get murdered over a war we have no business even participating in, and you sit by and you say, well, I also see the good in, well, you're just evil, to be honest, right? So people like Dana White, they're despicable, they're evil, they're disgusting. Now they moved on and they began to ask Dana White.
I'm really trying to improve my flexibility this year, so I asked ChatGPT to help me come up with a few stretches I can do every day. They're super easy to incorporate before or after a workout or before bed, and it only takes me 10 minutes.
This is Kayla, discovering that on Vinted, she can easily earn extra cash.
About the video that dropped of him slapping the living ish out of his wife. Now, Dana White had a PR answer prepared, but they didn't turn off the heat. Dana White, when they began to act boy, Dana White started fumbling, started scraping, started panicking, started stuttering. They really got the best of it with this exchange.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Was there a conversation with your sponsors or anybody on the business side when that video went viral of you and your wife in the club?
Yeah.
Slapping her and slapping you?
Yeah.
When they reached out to you, what did they, like, how was that conversation?
Yeah, we didn't have any sponsor problems during that. I think that my wife and I jumped on that immediately, and again, that was more of a we had to deal with our kids.
You did?
I did.
You think being the boss protected you from consequences that employees or athletes?
No, definitely not.
No, definitely.
Definitely not.
You made the choice publicly not to excuse yourself from the brand.
You chose publicly to not what?
To excuse yourself or give yourself a...
Nobody, 100%. listen, there's a board of directors. There's there's other people that are involved that could have pushed for that, but yeah, I think that, and obviously they think too, it would have hurt the company more if I did step away.
And then you disciplined fighters for public behavior that was unbecoming to the company before, right?
Well, I mean, I'm probably the most lenient, the most lenient guy in sports when it comes to dealing with, whether it's free speech or bad things that happen. And, I'm in the fight business. It's not like I run Microsoft. You know what I mean? So
what standard did you hold yourself to?
Obviously, that's not what it was.
You talking like me. You was talking perfectly. They get to ask us, okay, you put hands on your wife. Now, if your fighters did it, what would their consequences be? You would usually kick them out of the UFC, right? You would, deliver some stiff consequences against them. Well, what were the consequences you delivered upon yourself? They said, well, I would do this to them because, they didn't meet the standard of the UFC. Okay, then what standard did you break? What were your consequences? And his PR team didn't prepare him for this. His PR team didn't give him a good answer because there is no good answer. There is no good answer for you put hands on your wife. You suffered zero consequences for it. You didn't even get a layoff or a suspension. You didn't even give yourself a 1-week suspension away from the company. You said that, again, if your fighters did this, they will put the integrity of the brand at risk and there will be consequences. But yet you're saying when you do it and being the face of the brand doing this, there's no consequence at all. Well, what type of standard are you holding yourself to? And he gets fumbling and stuttering. And I understand that somebody who stutters myself is naturally. There is no good answer for this. Charlamagne the God really did a great job at boxing this thing in.
Yeah, I mean, it's as bad as it can get. I mean, I hold myself to, I would never in a million years think that was going to happen. And I say this all the time. Nobody knows you better than your kids do. And, your kids, whoever you really are, your kids see it. They're hearing everything that goes on at home. And,
how did they react to that incident?
My oldest son didn't talk to us for like 4 days.
Food.
And
what'd you say? Food?
How old was he?
Okay.
He was in college, so he was 19 probably. Yeah, 19, 20. And the first thing that her and I did was handle the situation with the kids. And then obviously I had to handle the business side of the whole thing. But yeah, we handled the kids first. To tell you, before that happened, I would have told you there's never, that would never happen to me. And there will never be a scenario that could ever play out where I would be a part of that. It would just never happen. And it did. And that's what you do, and that's what you've done, and that's normal to you, then you don't feel the way that I feel about it. I'm trying to explain this to you the best way possible, So, as a young man,
but this man was trying harder to swim, man. Shout to Charlamagne the God, man. This was a fantastic performance, bro. I give it to you, man. This was a fantastic performance, bro. Had this man on the pressure cooker for like a solid 15 minutes, bro. Couldn't dance. He tried to get away. They just cornered him, bro. Shout out to Charlamagne, man. Dana White, listen, I ain't got nothing personal against Dana White. For the most part, I don't think Dana White is a terrible human being. I think a lot of people, they get in bed with the devil. They really don't know how to get out of it. All right, they get in cahoots with some very, very, very bad people, man, and they essentially feel stuck. And that's where I think Dana White is, man. But let me know in the comment section, what do you guys feel about this? Y'all think Dana White got a point, or y'all think Dana White is an absolute sellout. Let me know, okay? If you're still watching this video and you want to watch another good video, click on this video right here, somewhere on my screen, somewhere here, or here, or here on my screen to find out how Akash just quit his podcast and why I think that's one of the dumbest decisions he could ever make, and it will ultimately ruin his life. I'm going to see you guys in this Akash and Flagrant video. If you want to support, send me a hype. I get a notification for who sent me a hype. So please, 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 please send me a hype. That's the best way to push my videos in the algorithm. I'm going to see you guys in this Akash video. Out of here, folks. Peace.